Bonjour à tous et bienvenue pour Talking
Hello
Europe.
and welcome to Talking Europe. Today we're pleased to speak with the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen.
Ursula von der Leyen,
A leading German politician, she's in charge of preparing and implementing the EU's response to the war in Ukraine. Talking to us from the Commission in Brussels. Hello, Madam President.
De Bruxelles. Bonjour, Madame la Présidente.
Bonjour à vous.
Alors, vous êtes en effet
After multiple rounds of sanctions, there are repercussions for the Russians and Europeans, notably a surge in energy prices and the cost of agricultural produce. Given that Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe, you are currently preparing a plan for food security. Can you give us details?
un plan sécurité alimentaire. Pouvez-vous nous en dire un peu plus?
Yes, indeed, you're right. It is very serious that Ukraine is not able now to sow the wheat, for example, that is necessary for the world. Ukraine is delivering 12% of the global wheat supply, for example. What the European Union is concerned, we are a big producer and supplier of cereals. So it's not so much a question of food security for the European Union, but it is a question of food security globally. And of course, we look at the food prices. So indeed, we will deliver for next week different opinions on how to support, for example, farmers, how to increase the production that we are missing now because of the war in Ukraine. For example, to look at set aside land and to give different options to the member states how to react to this.
Volodymyr
Zelensky would like Germany to agree to an embargo on Russian gas and oil. As a German yourself, can you confirm that your country is standing in the way of an embargo? And are you trying to change that?
Faire un peu bouger les lignes sur ce sujet.
I am first and foremost President of the European Commission. This is my role. And indeed, when we look at the dependency of Russian fossil fuels, we are far too dependent on Russian fossil fuels, and we have to get out of it. We have to get out of it in a way that we do not hurt too much our own economy, because this is the strongest leverage we have against Putin and his war. As I've just explained with the sanctions, these are because we are strong economically. But we can do something against our dependency on Russian fossil fuels. So the first thing is we are looking around the world with our friends, the Americans, for example, to ask for more LNG to replace, to diversify from Russian gas. This is very important. It is going well. If Russia would cut us off the gas today, we would be able to go through this winter. So we have already a lot of LNG gas. The second step is investment heavily in renewables, because they are homegrown, they create jobs at home, they are good for the planet, and they are good for our energy security. So these investments in renewables are strategic investments. And the third point is a very simple one, but a very important one. Every European can contribute by saving energy. The less we use energy, the easier it is for us to get out of the fossil fuel dependency from Russia and to be independent from them.
Joe Biden will be in Brussels next week for the NATO summit dedicated to the situation in Ukraine. What is the purpose of this summit, given that NATO doesn't want to enter into a war with Russia?
Well, this is first and foremost a NATO question. And NATO is very clear that NATO will defend the alliance, but on NATO territory. And I think this is a NATO decision I cannot comment on. But for us, it's important, what we've seen now is, as I described, that our answer to the aggression of Putin and the cruel war he has started is a very strong one to basically make sure that his economy is crippled and he's unable to refill over and over his war chest. And this has now an enormous impact. I mean, the stock market, for example, in Russia is closed in 3 weeks because it's not possible for Russia anymore to open it. if you see all the international companies that are leaving Russia. So this has a huge effect on Russia's economy right now, but also a huge effect over time on the economy. So it will have a lasting effect. There is a price for President Putin to pay, and this is our strength in the European Union. Then there is a second step that we support the brave Ukrainian people with deliveries of arms in their fight. And this is something where the European Union never did it before, but now we are able to supply this support to the Ukrainians. And we do everything to support them also in their way on negotiations that have started now. Wherever we can give some help, we do that.
And talking of support, this week, the leaders of Poland, the Czech Republic and Slovakia travelled to Kyiv to show their solidarity with Ukraine and with President Zelensky. They are members of the Eurosceptic Visegrad group. Was it courageous or irresponsible of them to travel? And was it to help divert attention away from their own shortcomings when it comes to the rule of law?
It was a courageous message, and it is good that it was delivered. And if there's anything that Putin has not calculated with, then it is the unity of the European Union and the unity of the Union with, for example, our American friends, the Canadians, the UK, and the speed and the intensity of the sanctions we have delivered. And yes, we stand as one, giving a very clear answer to the aggression of Putin without any question. This does not mean that any other topic is off the table. So we are also working on the other issues we have with our member states. But at the moment being, it is important really to give a very, very firm answer. It cannot be that an autocrat attacks a sovereign country which has the right for the integrity of its territory. It cannot be that there are spheres of influence that Russia tries to exert on other neighboring countries. No, it is here democracy that is standing up against autocracy, and therefore here we stand as one.
The Russian military is mercilessly bombing civilian targets, such as the theatre in Mariupol. The Kremlin refuses to put an end to the fighting, despite calls for a halt from the International Criminal Court. Should Vladimir Putin face trial at the International Criminal Court?
I think it is absolutely correct and necessary to have investigations about war crimes and the responsibles for that, without any question. It is atrocious what we see. It is cruel. It is inhuman. And it is good that these investigations are getting on and that those who are responsible for it will have to stand up for what they have done, without any question. And here, I think it's also a question of the international order that we have to maintain. And if you look at, for example, the United Nations General Assembly, there it was a landslide victory for maintaining the international order. 141 countries condemned Russia, while only 4 countries supported Russia. This was Eritrea, it was Syria of Assad, it was Belarus, and it was North Korea. These were the only ones supporting Russia. All the other ones were abstaining or were condemning Russia for its actions.
Ursula von der Leyen, you were the person who opened the door to the European Union for Ukraine. But at the Versailles summit, EU leaders ruled out a SWIFT membership. Was that a mistake? And is a SWIFT accession process for Ukraine and even Moldova and Georgia out of the question because it would risk angering Vladimir Putin?
On the contrary, I think there was a strong message from Versailles that, first of all, very clear, 27 who said unanimously that Ukraine is part of our European family and that we are forging the path forward to enlargement. And indeed, now what the process is concerned, by the fact that President Zelensky has given his application, he set a process in motion. And indeed, the Council now tasks us, the European Commission, to form a so-called opinion, un avis. This is in the process. Normally, it lasts years before this happened. This took us weeks. And indeed, today I just had a VTC with President Zelensky, and we've discussed the way forward. To develop the opinion in the European Commission, normally, you ask a country 4,000 to 5,000 different questions. It's such a big booklet that comes, and it takes years to answer this question and to give the information. Here we are in an extraordinary situation. We need tailored solution, and we need to be creative. And we have a lot of information about Ukraine already. We have the deep and comprehensive free trade agreement that covers 70% of the EU acquis already. So a lot of information can be drawn out of that by the Commission. I just told you that we have connected the electrical grid, for example. We have roaming with Ukraine. So a lot has been done in the past years to really already come closer to Ukraine. What is the essence of what I'm describing? The goal is to be faster and to be done in a few months with this opinion that I was describing. The next step the Commission has to do, and to do everything to support Ukraine in complying with the process that has started now.
Thank you, Madam President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, for being our guest this week. Goodbye.